I'm not a fan of it.
I didn't even know you were on the island.
Nothing prepares you for it. Never come home. It's a fucking jungle.
It's entertainment for me.
It's gonna happen. Like, wrong bitch. No.
I put the phone down and I think I just lied about all of that.
Your time's ticking like mine's not.
Oh. He was like, go now.
Let's do it. Oh, we're recording.
We are.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode with your two favorite people. Hopefully. So now that you know a little bit about us and our backstory and how we kind of got here, we're here today to hit you with the absolute harsh reality that nobody will tell you when you pick up and move alone.
All the things we've enjoyed, all the things we've struggled with, so
everything we've learned along the way, and we'll try and keep it short.
And hopefully you enjoy our struggles and get some tips and advice and ideas.
But above all, we hope that this will inspire you to pick up and move and not scare you away.
We're just here to give you the realities.
We're gonna be real with you, so grab onto your seats. Gonna be a bumpy ride.
My situation, your situation are different.
Yeah, we have like similar but very different situations, obviously, between like how we got here, why we got here, and
so for me it was like three things in one. There was moving out of my family's house for the first time, so living on my own for the first time, and then moving in with a partner. So that's a whole different thing in itself, and then moving to a different country. So it was kind of adjusting to my actual living environment and then adapting to a new culture and getting used to a new culture and everything. So that, but I also had the support of my partner that I'm living with. For you, it was all of the things that you're finding new, and then alone as well.
On top of that, alone, because like, let's not forget, like, I'm from here. I didn't grow up here, but I was used to coming every year. I had some family, I was making friends, I was always out, like I was okay. Like I knew people, they would take me around. And the culture wasn't unfamiliar to me, the language was unfamiliar to me, like the lifestyle was not unfamiliar to me. So the things for me that shocked me or were hard for me was being alone and so far away from kind of like everything that I knew, like my safety net, right? My family. My first time living alone that wasn't like college where it was just like a joke, and it was like actually just adulting on your own. Adulting on your own, because I can't stress enough, like nothing prepares you for it. Nothing prepares you for it.
So you found settling into the actual country and the environment easier, but it was the living and day-to-day things
that you're like getting used to, because a lot of things are overwhelming, and especially like me, like when I get overwhelmed, like I just break down and I'll start crying, and then I have to like breathe and like kind of like come back. The moving was like pretty easy, because like I said, I've already been here since the end of May, and I was with my friends, with my family, like everything was great. And then obviously I was very lucky, because I can't imagine someone picking up and moving and doing it alone. I had my family to settle me in, to get me like through everything. They stayed with me 2 weeks and were there for my first day of like work and everything for me. And you know, then they left, but granted they were still in Greece for another like month. So I saw them again in a month or two, and then they left. But it was just, there were so many new things that just hit me. And then also things that I thought were gonna go one way, and I was just like, whoa, I don't understand what's happening. Which made the pressure of everything else feel so much intense.
So the moving itself, what did you find easy, what did you find difficult? And because you were here doing the Airbnb thing for a while, hopping around, so how did you find all of that? Because your situation is really unique, especially because your uncle sorted the place.
I remember being really stressed, if you remember from our first episode, really stressed about packing, because I came with my luggage just for summer. So I was like, how am I gonna have all this? How am I gonna have all my stuff and like settle in? And not even settle into my own home, but settle into like 3 different places each time. Like I was living out of like whatever space.
Everywhere was temporary.
Everywhere was so temporary. I was like a nomad, and like I was living off the spaces that the Airbnb provided, trying to make it look like a home, like luggage under the bed, living out of boxes. I remember when I was in my first studio, and I was like boxes in one corner. I was taking up the whole one closet this guy gave me. I was like, oh my god. Like I remember when my boxes finally came with bags. My whole couch, half my couch was just like a bag storage. And I was like, oh my God. So like that was difficult, just not feeling like I had a home yet, because I was always constantly like moving.
So you couldn't settle straight away?
I couldn't settle, because as soon as I got used to one thing, it was like, all right, time to move to the next place, or time for the next thing. And I was like, oh my God, you think you just get used to one area and then you have to move to another one. Granted, the places weren't far, they were all like neighboring areas on purpose, because I still had the same commute, but like that was hard. Moving to another place and not having anyone really around you, like that's when like my family had left, and I was like realizing they were far. Granted, anyone that would come stay with you, there was family, friends, like my boyfriend at the time. Like I remember last year was always so hard for me to like see those people go.
Yeah.
And it's not like they were, you know what I mean, like either going far or close. It was so hard because I was like, I feel so alone a lot of the times. Like when you're not being distracted by your day to day, you like come home and you're like, I'm alone.
That like the saying hellos and goodbyes to everyone each time, that I don't think that gets, I don't know if it does later, I don't find that it's got easier. I just find that it's a different feeling every time. So the first times I was saying bye to my family and friends when I was at home and coming here, it felt like a complete restart. It was like, oh, I'm doing this again. It felt like I was moving for the first time again. After like the third, fourth time, it was like, I'm excited to come to my home now. So it was a different feeling, but the actual leaving everyone, I was like distraught again.
For me, it's gotten easier.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm also in such a different place in my life.
Yeah.
Like as a person, that like I have it together and I'm happy and I'm like, oh my God, that I'm excited to come back here, and I know I'm gonna see my parents soon, or my family soon, my friends soon, that it doesn't affect me as much. Where in the beginning I was like, this is
you've got
weird.
summer coming and you know everyone's gonna be here.
I'm like, this is just like so weird. Like I remember in the beginning, it would hit me at random times where like it would be as little as like I was going to pee. And this is when I was in my studio and I was like sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not in college. Like, I feel like I'm in a dorm in this place, but I'm like, this is my life. Yeah. Like, I'm an actual adult. Where, like, I was, like, the baby of the family, the youngest of all my friends. Like, I always felt like the little one, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm an adult. Like, I still can't believe I'm an adult, and I'm turning 27 in a month. Like, that's crazy to me. But it just, like, the day-to-day distracts you, but it's, like, when you don't have anything going on, like that reality of, oh my God, I'm here and I'm alone and I have all this free time, what do I do? Especially when you're so new to something, you don't have those hobbies yet, those things you do for yourself yet. Like you don't know where to go to the gym, where to go to do this and that, and like you're still new to the area, and it takes so long, and I'm like, well, what do I do with myself now? I grew up in America, she grew up in the UK, so coming to a new culture, I mean, especially for you, you're probably like, oh my God, I kind of knew what I was getting into, but the reality when it kind of hit me, I was like, oh, I'm not used to this. What do you mean, like, this isn't this, and there's that, you don't do this? I was like, okay. And I didn't want to come off as like a little princess, but I was like, you know, people understood.
It's just
like,
what
oh
you're
God.
used to, yeah.
Like, another hard thing for me too was, because I know you went into a house, and like he had a car and like everything ready for you. Like,
I was so lucky because I was moving from my parents' house, and so I still have my stuff there, because I know some people, they have to just leave their whole home and take all their stuff, ship half of it. I still had a lot of my stuff there, so I moved over with 2 suitcases of things, and it's like a progressive thing. Bit by bit, every time I go, I leave a little empty space in my suitcase and bring things back and forth. But yeah, I got there and it was like a car and everything, so I was really lucky that that was done.
Yeah, another thing for me that was really tough moving was that I wouldn't have had a car. And those of you who are listening and who do know me, you're gonna be like, you do have a car. Okay, we do have a car, but I don't drive it here. You know my situation, because if you know Athens, I'm gonna give you a tip. It's a fucking jungle. It's a jungle to drive in. It's not what you would think. It's something you have to get used to. And just get yourself an automatic car, okay? The car we have here is not automatic, so I'm just like...
I let my boyfriend handle that part for me. He was like, okay, we're gonna get this car and we're gonna do an automatic car. And I was like, oh, I've never driven an automatic.
Oh my God, and he was like the opposite. I'm like, I could drive stick, but like, here, like, bro, like, it's just too much stop and go. It doesn't make sense.
So I was lucky he warned me. He was like, okay, no, we'll get an automatic. It'll be so, I'm so grateful he made that decision, because for me, it was getting used to the other side of the road as well.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
So that was the main reason. He was like, if you're trying to drive in Greece with the craziness here, and trying to
she wouldn't have been here.
No, yeah.
But I was used to driving everywhere. Like, even the littlest things, like driving to a doctor's appointment or to go get groceries. Like, I walk everywhere. You know what I mean? Or like people come pick me up, or like everyone figures it out, or I'll be like, okay, I'll be here, come grab me, or take a taxi. They're relatively cheap here, but it's just that luxury of having like your car. I'm like, oh my god, especially when you wake up sick one day, and for some reason, this is also something that was weird to me, was like, why aren't doctors on call 24/7? Like, I remember the first time I got sick here, it was a Sunday. And I was used to things being closed on Sunday because blue laws in Jersey.
That was a new one to me.
Yeah,
I still now, even Sundays now, I'm like, oh, let's go to the shops. And he's like, it's Sunday.
Things are closed. Like, I was just shocked. So I was like, imagine you just are in a new country. You don't have your primary doctor. You don't know the areas. And you're sick with a fever. And I'm like, hysterically crying, my body's shaking, and I don't know who to call. I don't know what to do. I'm like trying to Google like home doctors, like what doctors are open. I was like, how am I gonna get there? You have to walk to one that's close to you with a fever, and I'm like, oh my god. So I called like a home doctor. He came. He took €80 for me, or like 100. I was like, I don't care. And then the next problem was I had to go find a pharmacy. And on Sundays, one pharmacy in the area is open, and you don't know which one it is because it switches every freaking Sunday. So I was like going around, and I was like walking with a fever like 15 minutes, and I came back. I got my medicine, and I remember calling my boyfriend at the time. He's like, oh my god, like this is like before he turned to complete douche. I was like, great. But it's things like that where I'm like, I wish I had a car or someone here with me to help to take care of me, to go grab and run the medicine. Those little things you start to put into perspective, and I'm like, wow. I used to go to the dermatologist a lot, like every month, and I was like, oh my god, I have to take the metro and a bus and then walk to my dermatologist. Like, that was so bizarre to me. But then I was like, you live in a city. Like, if I was in this city or in New York City, I would have been doing the same thing with no car. But it was just like, oh wow, like this is crazy to me. It was
something to get used to.
It was something I definitely had to get used to. More so I am, but I'm still working on that car. If you're listening, Daddy, we're working on it. Come on. We know we want that automatic car in our lives. Me and my mom.
I honestly, I don't know how people drive with the manual here. Like,
they're used to it. They're so used to it because that's how they learned.
Yeah, I'm glad as well. When I think it was my second day here, my third day, he was like, we're getting in the car and going. I was like, no. I was like, I'm not crashing the car this soon. Like, I've just got here. And he was like, no, like, you're never going to drive if you don't just...
This is an example of a good person. Yeah. Like, he just like, here, keys, go.
He was like, go now. And I was like, I'm not okay to go. And he was like, you're fine. And I've been driving for years in the
She's
UK.
fine. I've been in the car with her. She's more than fine, guys.
But even we'd done some lessons, and he was like, you're ready, go on your own. I was like, no, I'm not. He was like, no, you go, you're fine. And I begged him and made him come in the car with me on this journey. I'd been driving a little bit then. That one journey, I nearly drove on the opposite side of the road. He was on the phone on a meeting, and then he was like, no. I was like, see? I'm not okay on my own.
See, this is like killing me alone.
But I think it was after I'd come to yours a couple of trips, because it's like a longer journey. I was like, okay, I've got this now, it's fine. It's just the small roads still. The really thin roads.
You have a bigger car too, and so do we.
I was used to a smaller car, and then now this is a bigger one. So
you know what else is really crazy? The whole healthcare system here. That was something that blew my mind too. Again, very fortunate. My parents were helping me behind the scenes to prolong things, and my mom was taking care of it, because if I was alone, I would have been struggling just to get on the phone, just to try and understand. And like, my mom did all of it for me. The people at my work did all of it for me. And I was like, thank God. And it was finally kicking in. The public health system, like, once you get a job, you're entitled to it. Like, for all the,
See, I'm like still figuring it out.
She's still figuring it out.
I'm like working my own thing.
I nearly wanted to shoot someone for the first 3 months, because I was like, what do you mean? Like, I have all these appointments to go to. I was like, so like, to get health insurance here, like through your work and everything to be a part of it, you know, whatever. Once you work, if you work for 3 months, this is like anywhere in the world. I didn't know that. This is how much I'm like, I was so like protected. Like everything was just taken care of. Just for example, when I was like on Accutane, I would go to the dermatologist and I'd go to the pharmacy to pick up my pills. And I was like, this is my number, so my pills could be free or like be like €1. They're like, no, it's not working yet. I had to work like 3 months, and I was like, my mom's like, that's anywhere.
Yeah, that's probation.
I was like, I didn't know this. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, okay. So like after that got sorted, I was like, great, cool. But after that, I was just like, oh my God, like the health insurance, because I was used to being under my dad's. I was 25, 24 still. And when I had 25, and when I turned 26 in the States, when I was still under my dad's insurance, where I would just like write it off and give it to them so I could at least get money back. As soon as I turned 26, the US government went, cut, you're done. Like midnight, nope, she's gone. She's on her own. And I was like, oh geez, now I'm like, I was like, oh fuck, like I'm really on my own with this. I came from somewhere where it was all handled. My mom was like, you were just so like, we had you very good, like so blind. You would walk in the urgent care, whatever you want, pick up things, show your card, and you'd walk out. Like I generally thought it was free. Like it just didn't occur to me. It just didn't occur to me. And then my mom was like, nope, like you had a very good health insurance with your father, like all of you did. And I was like, oh, God bless him.
Yeah, like this isn't how it works.
I was like, what do you mean I have to pay? Right. It was bad, yeah. So that was a big shock to me too, just figuring all that out. And it was like, okay, one obstacle's done, another hurdle came in the way. And I was like, you'd have to run down to like something in the town hall and like the certain hours people work. I was like, who are you catering to? I can't take a whole day off of work just to see if you'll see me in person.
That's one thing to look up wherever you're moving, because I know what it's like here, but their opening times and closing times are not the opening times.
Yeah, try to pick up something from the post office. You're gonna have to take off from work for that one. Here's another big shocker if you guys are listening.
Anytime I order anything, and then I'm like, oh, okay, this is coming this week, just to let you know. And he's like, where from? And then I show him, and he's like, yeah, we're gonna have to pick that one up. Yeah, there's only like a very small amount that will deliver, but he's like, yeah.
But you have to be home for it, because if you miss that time slot, you're running to the post office anyway. But I got big news for you guys. If you're thinking of moving, there is no Amazon. Just so you know, there is no Amazon, there's no Prime. Like whenever I go back to the States, I go crazy with Amazon just for fun. Even if I return it the next day, it comes, I look at it, nope, okay, go back, get my money back. It's just that easy.
You don't realize how much next day delivery is such a privilege. It's such a privilege.
And here, I literally just got a package today and I waited like 3.5 weeks for it. This post office it came to, thankfully, it's open till 8 at night. So I was like, oh wow. Yeah. But some of them are open until like 2, from like 7:30 to 2. And I'm like, guys, this makes no sense.
I don't work these hours.
I was like, who are you really catering to? Babies and old people.
I'm still getting used to where to shop everything from.
Yeah, you figure things out along the way, because the things that you know, like, okay, really gonna want to order from sites you know from wherever you're from and pay double that in like shipping. Like you find things along the way that work here and that are better.
And I remember I was doing my order and I just found all the products I wanted, and I went to shipping and it was like minimum 3 weeks. I was like,
yes, you gotta plan in advance if you want stuff. Like plan in advance. And it's just small things like that you wouldn't expect, which seems so materialistic, but it's some days when you're
feeling your comfort, what you're used to.
When you're feeling all the pressure and like the littlest thing will set you off and you're like, oh my God, what do you mean? Like this is the last thing I needed right now.
It really has been the small things that wouldn't affect me back home. Like it would always be the big things that affect me, not the little things. It's been the opposite here. Any big things, I'm like,
it's things you wouldn't expect. As much as like moving is so exciting and there's been so many fun adventures and so many new experiences and we're so like blessed and so lucky to have that and the help.
And both our situations and our circumstances have been so lucky the way we've moved.
So lucky. But of course, like we're not gonna get on here and be like, yeah, everything's great. Like no, like you don't understand. There are struggles to come with it. This is why we want to tell you in the morning, like to make sure you guys know at least, like, because everyone glamorizes moving and oh my god, just do it, you're in your 20s and the whole world.
And even as we post all of the like fun things, we're on a beach and
yeah, but did I post? Yes, I did post actually, because if you're on my private Snapchat story last year, like I was always like, hey guys, I just want to tell you, like, I'm crying because this and this, or I don't understand this, and like just the reality for like my close friends to see, because the amount of people that are like, you are living life, like, oh my god, I'm like, yes, but do I show you guys me crying because of this and this? Like, no.
And you'll be crying about the tiny thing, and we come to each other and we're like, did you cry about this too? Did you cry about this too?
But I have to say, like, with my friends that I do have here, they're so supportive and they're so like proud of you. Like, they're just like, they like idolize you. Like, she did this. Like, people forget, like, we're starting from zero here, whereas like the friends we have here, like they grew up here, they have, and like, you know, and we're just like starting and getting our balance, and like from what we have accomplished and done, it's like, wow, like we really do have to look at that, not just like the struggle of it.
I found that with the language side of it.
That's a whole other story.
That's a whole topic itself, but the language side, I've found people being so supportive,
that's how the Greeks are. So if you're looking to come to Greece, we're welcoming people.
At first I still am a little bit now, I'm still getting used to it, like in front of you or anyone that knew me before I moved here, but who I know here, especially my partner, I was so embarrassed to speak Greek in front of, even because I want to try, but I only try at the supermarket or the shops when I'm on my own.
I get that.
And it was just such an embarrassing thing for me, and then now I'm starting to do it more. And I'm starting to do it in front of people I know.
You just have to do it.
And then you guys are so, everyone appreciates it and they're so supportive. Anytime I say a tiny little word that I've known for months but I've never said, everyone's like, yay! Like it's such it's a celebration, and you're like, oh, okay, I don't have to feel embarrassed or if I say anything wrong.
See, I get that feeling sometimes too, and I speak pretty fluent and I grew up in whatever, but there are times too, because around all my friends, I'm very comfortable, but it's in those really big settings where I'm just around all people that speak Greek. And granted, everyone knows like English. I remember one time my friend's boyfriend looked at me, he was like, you're not talking too much right now. And I was like, well, what do you want me to say? Like, sometimes I listen, I'm understanding what's going on, but because everything's happening so fast, until I can like figure out what I want to say or contribute, sometimes I'm like, the moment's past, let me just sit and like, I'll laugh along or whatever and like say like, oh, you know. But I get that, because sometimes I'm like, well, especially around people I really don't know or don't get a good vibe from, I'm like, I don't want to open my mouth. What if you like are rude or judge me? You know what I mean? Like,
you do just need to go for it, and I'm learning it more to just try and do it in bigger settings and things. You just do need to do it, because it's helped me so much. The more I'm doing it, the easier I'm learning it as well, because people correct you and they tell you the right way to do it. But it is a daunting thing at first.
But she's taking lessons, guys. Don't worry, she's taking lessons. So hopefully one day I could just quiz her on this, and we can all listen to her.
I keep being and cheer her on about it. I'm like, 2 weeks less, and I'm gonna be fluent. Don't worry.
She's like, I already know it.
I'm like, I know everything.
She's like, I already know better than you. I'm like, okay. But I feel like the biggest advice I have to give to you personally is, wherever you're coming from, whether it's from the UK or from like Australia or from the States, and you want to move, you really have to kind of be prepared, not just for all these little things. The biggest thing is the salary you'll be making here. And if you're willing to take that pay cut, and if you're willing, you know, to live on that kind of like budget and rebudget yourself. Because for me, I think that was the absolute biggest thing I struggle with. And to be completely honest, I still struggle with from time to time here. Because I came from knowing so much, and in my head, saving an X amount of money versus another amount of money to me is like completely bizarre, where I'm like, this is not adding up. But I'm also so thankful that I still have that mentality, because it just pushes me to do better and to want more and be more ambitious. But that is the biggest thing, and I know you relate to it 100%.
You just have to be prepared to know you're starting from a different point that you are at, and just be willing to be patient and take your time, which I wasn't. I get upset about it. It's just change. It's just something you're not used to, and when you're in change for a long time, it affects you sometimes.
It affects you, where like a small amount of money that would never affect you will like throw you over the edge one day, and you're like, oh my god, like, and you're sitting there crying, like, how am I going to do this? Or how am I going to feed myself for the next week? Or, oh my god, this is coming up, how am I going to pay for this? Like, breathe.
Yeah.
It's very stressful, it's very hard. but in some weird way, it all works out.
You get more used to it and you can plan more.
It's not gonna be what you're used to in the beginning, but you know, you kind of figure it out along the way.
Yeah.
And you're not, the thing that I kind of keep in my head is like, you're not gonna stay in the same situation you're in every year. Everything's gonna change for the better. So it's just something that you have to talk yourself through. Because I know it sucks, because going into this, I remember getting my offer for the job. My mind was already made up, because this is what I've wanted, like, for as long as I remember, just to live in Europe, live in Greece, and just get out of New Jersey. Like, I just wanted to.
So it was like, you've got the job done. It's
and my parents knew, like, this is what you want. Like, okay, it's gonna be hard. Like I'm lucky for the help I have, because it's, especially if you're looking into Athens, like, the salaries just are not there, unfortunately, yet.
Yeah, I found the same struggles. It's like the little things and the little payments that you have to do and things, they get you more than just planning monthly. It was a bit different for me because I moved without a job, so I just had like my savings, and I was like, that's fine, I'll worry about the job when I get there, because I had so much to sort out when I was here. It was like all the visa, all the paperwork and everything, and I wasn't aware of it, but everyone was like, just come and we'll all help you and sort it out. So, and my job situation now and what I'm working on is not a normal,
it's not a steady
steady job.
Like, even mine that's steady as of right now, I'm like, it's not enough. Like, one, will it be enough? And it'll never be enough, because my standards up here, and I'm like trying to like push myself up there, but it's hard.
And my situation is more of a self-employed situation, and I've gone into a field that's different from what I'm used to. So mine was really starting from scratch. Like, I had to do all the courses to begin with, and whilst I was doing that, and we had summer and everything where we were away from Athens, and so you're just out spending, having a good time, you come back, and then it's time to get serious. And my money's been slowly creeping up, but it's been a challenge to get used to, because I was working for...
I don't think it's something either of us will get used to until we're where we want to be.
Yeah, I think because we're both used to, you were used to the salaries there, and I had a job for 4 or 5 years where I was used to my monthly salary, and then for me it was going from a monthly income that I know I'm getting to, we'll just see month to month, week to week, we'll see what we're going with. And it was a choice. Like I said, I didn't want to go into a normal job. There are ways you can just get remote jobs or a job here, and you can be on a set salary, but they are lower than. So even when I'm doing my freelancing, self-employed things, what you can charge here is completely different from what you can charge there.
It's always to keep in mind too, especially if you want to do something for yourself, which is like what we're trying to do. It's just like
I didn't want to go back into employment, so I've made a choice to do this.
People they warned me here. Everyone warned me. They're like, just know you're not gonna save. And I was like, bet. I'm gonna save. I don't care what any of you say. But it's hard to save what you expect or what you want, or...
But then people have a different mindset
here. A lot of people have a different mindset.
So it's not such a... There's not that whole stress that we have back home. Like, you have to save, you have to be at this milestone, you have to be here. You have to have all these things to show that you're progressing and being successful.
It's just also another thing.
It's different.
Another thing about navigating in general in your 20s and when you're working and you're
young.
You
put so much pressure on yourself.
Don't put pressure on yourself and don't compare yourself, because everything you see is fake. Like, if you go onto any of our profiles, any of your friends' profiles, like, oh my god, they're living, they're so rich, they're so this, they're having so much. Like, yeah, sure. But like, you just don't know the reality of it. Behind the scenes. No one knows what's going on. So don't compare yourself with this person's all the way here. I'm here, and why am I not doing this? Like, because in reality, like, this person that you think is, oh my god, so ahead of you, like, they're probably not.
And when you're getting stressed about these things, it's the simplest things when you move to a new country that help you in situations like that. Like, you'll be so stressed in your house, and you're all of these emotions going on. You're like, I've got this, I'm changing, my money's not right, I've got this to pay. All these little things add up. You can just... There's a beauty of being somewhere else and being like living in somewhere like Greece. You like go for a walk and you just take in. You realize the reasons that you're here. Like,
to this day, I swear, like, to this day, like, I sometimes can't believe I live here, and I just like look out at something, like whether it's like on my way to work and I look out at the ocean, or like I'm somewhere and it has like a beautiful view of all of Athens, and I kind of just look there and I smile, and I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I can't believe I actually live here. I'm so lucky. I have the most beautiful country in the world.
Yeah, I'll be crying about something stupid, and my partner will be like, come, let's go on a walk. Like, he's really good just to be like, realize it's all okay. Like, it's
It's
fine, and
always
it's
okay.
just that mindset here. I'm not sure how
Yeah.
it is if it's the same in all of Europe or other countries, but they have this like calmer mindset about things.
Which
like,
I love.
everything's
Everything's like
not so much pressure and not so stressful, and it's like just be happy and healthy, and so
as long as you have your happiness and your health, like that's all that matters, because everything
Yeah.
else will work itself out.
yeah, so you just need to go back, realize the reason you're here, all the blessings you have, and you go out. And I'm not saying blessings are gonna save and pay for your bills and things. So I'm not saying go look at the flowers and think, oh, my bills are paid. Like, I understand it's stressful. I'm not gonna be like,
She's like, just go for a walk.
I'm like,
Everything's
go
fine.
for a walk. Your house is fine. It's beautiful here. I'm not saying that.
But you get what we mean. I'm not
It's fine.
kidding. Like, oh my god, I cried at work by accident yesterday because of like finances, and today she's called me. She's running like 2 hours late to come film, and I'm like, what's going on? She's like frantically texting me. I just called her. So
I was like, I'm in
she's
the
like,
wrong
I don't wanna
place.
cry. I was like, just let it out. And it was the same reason I was crying yesterday.
It gets overwhelming,
Yes.
and that's okay.
It's okay. But this is why we're here to tell you guys, because this is
It's
the
reality
reality of
yeah.
it. And
I wouldn't change it. Like,
I would
I'm
not
so,
change it.
I'm really just trying to, even though I do have my times, I'm having a breakdown on the phone to my mom and my friends and things, but
in the reality of it,
Yeah.
guys, we're really happy.
we always say, I can't wait 3 years to look back at now and be like,
Yeah.
oh my god, remember we were crying about
Remember
that,
when
remember
we were struggling? Now look at-
But you do just have to really embrace everything and just go along with it. And
Yeah.
especially when you move somewhere different, you are starting from scratch in a way.
You are starting from zero. You can't put pressure on yourself. You should be proud of where you are
Yeah.
now and how much you've accomplished and where you are throughout. There's ups and downs. My point is, wherever you are, whether
Yeah.
you are in somewhere where you're comfortable or you move to another state or another country, there's going to be ups and downs wherever you are in life. That's just life. So this is why we're here. We want to tell you just to do it. If you're thinking of it, we're hoping this kind of gives you that push.
Yeah.
Like,
There's
do
been
it.
so many times I've been sat and he's like my partner or even you both like, it's okay, like you've just got here, you've got a job now,
Yeah.
like you're making friends, you're learning the language, like you're
It's all-
doing well. But I'm still the same. I'm telling people like embrace it and it's fine
Yeah.
because I'm still learning to do that.
it's
as
crazy,
well.
it's amazing, it's hard, but it's just, it's great. Like,
It's up
honestly, I
and
wouldn't
down.
trade it for the world.
Up and down constantly. I've never been so emotional, but I've never been so happy at the same
Anytime
time.
I go home, everyone's like, so, like, are you gonna stay? I was like, no, I'm going back home to Athens, and this is where I'm excited to go back to, and this is where I want to be.
At first, there's like a disconnect. You feel
In
like
the
you've got
beginning-
two homes.
In the beginning, it's crazy, but a year goes by, and you're like, wow, like, I'm building a life here. Like, it's a lot changes, and a lot happens, and fast forward, you're like, oh my god, like, I feel comfortable. I'm okay with being alone. I'm okay with,
yeah.
I have my shit together kind of thing. And slowly things start building. You just need the patience and let time do its thing.
Yeah, like that was mainly moving and the differences, but we want to get into
Living
lifestyle
here.
changes and how that is. And so if there's anything you want to know
About the lifestyle, especially if you want to be in Greece or in Europe in general, let us know, because we have a lot of stories and a lot of advice to share with you guys. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.